Warning: this video contains information on the recently released 4.7 patch. Patch 4.7 is known to cause upset stomach, migraines, anxiety, depression, and verbal diarrhea. If you experience any of these side effects as a result of patch 4.7, please consult your local community manager. Just kidding! This patch is amazing! Let's go jump the heck in and see all the sweet little presents we got for Christmas this year. Let's go! The new resource that's being added in 4.7 are these things that you think are treasure maps, but are totally not. They're writs, and writs taste great with cheese on them and no. Okay, so these things you use them to craft into deeds. So if you actually look inside the Soulforge, it's going to take you quite a lot of writs to actually make yourself a deed of some kind. So it's going to be 100 of them. So at the end of the day, this isn't too crazy when we take a look at the epic tasks. You'll see you actually get a decent amount of writs, but it does take 100 of them plus 100 of whatever jewel type it is, plus 1,000 souls, but then you can make yourself some deeds. So between this and the actual changes to the epic tasks, we're going to be able to get ourselves some deeds in a pretty decent fashion. Also, as a result of this patch, the total number of weekly seals has increased, so now this is up to 2,000. So what a lot of folks don't really appreciate is what that means is that every single player, regardless of how active your guild is, how much gold you donate, as long as you play the game, you're going to be getting extra seals, which results in extra troops. Because an extra 500 seals a week is an extra 2,000 seals a month, which is essentially worth an extra 100 gem keys a month. So just by playing the game, no matter how good of a guild you're in, you are now able to get yourself essentially an extra 100 gem keys worth of seals every month, all by yourself. Also, what's worth noting is a change to what's being done as far as getting guild seals. So the one change that they made here is that completing a delve now will get you 30 seals right then and there. So they've removed the arena little level thing here, they've replaced it with a delve. The reason for this is that they're apparently changing arenas later. So stay tuned for arena changes in some future patch, but you can now get more guild seals, and every time you complete a delve you get 30 guild seals. So chalk that up as a win. Also changing is now the ability to no longer have to hold delves back so you can farm them. So as you can see here, this is level 50 and this is 450? What? So what's going on here is that the lowest level will never go higher than level 50 now. When you beat this at level 50, it'll stay at 50 down here. All of the progress you're going to be making is now captured in these last two. So if I beat this level at 450, this will stay 450. But if I beat this at 460, this will become 460, this will become 470, this will stay at 50. So don't hold your delves back any longer. You can run through those faction assaults and you can farm any delve that you want to now. Congrats. Go ahead and farm the crap out of every delve, all of them. Jumping into the guild shop, we can see that this has all changed. Now if you spend 20 bucks, you get a piece of pet bait, you get 500 gems, you get 4 orbs of clans, you get 60k gold, and you get 15 guildmate gifts. Guildmate gifts are of course 25 gem packs. So you can give these out to anybody that you want in your guild, you can give them all to one person, you can spread them around however you want, you just can't give them to yourself. But you get all this other stuff, you greedy bastard, so share with your guild. Pet bait is a new thing, so basically when you cast a pet bait, the very next PvP fight you're going to do will have a pet gnome in it, and that pet gnome can't run away, so you're absolutely guaranteed to get a pet rescue immediately thereafter. If there's already an active pet rescue, it doesn't use your pet bait. Basically, they've designed this in a way where you can't waste your pet bait, so don't feel afraid that you're gonna try and use it and you're gonna end up messing it up somehow. They have all the safeguards in the world to prevent this from happening, so you can cast a pet bait whenever you want and just force a pet rescue to show up. Pretty darn cool. As far as value is concerned, this is all really good. 500 gems for $20 is already a really good value. With my VIP level as it is, if I tried to just buy 500 gems in and of themselves, I would be spending more than $20, let alone getting 4 orbs of clans, which is essentially worth 40 gem keys, on top of getting 60k gold, on top of getting the ability to just be Santa Claus and make all of my guildmates happy. So this is actually a really solid deal. So if you're a very caring and giving kind of person, these guild shop purchases are all now very useful. The elite level is definitely the best value. You can just see by looking at it at this high level. In this one, you're getting pet bait and more gems. This one, you're getting 200. This one, you're getting 500. So the value is much better at this level. However, all of them are still at least useful, but I would say probably the only one that you should really purchase is this elite level. This is absolutely the best value as far as all of these are concerned, but incredibly, incredibly awesome. Also coming in the 4.7 patch is a brand new pack of Guardians. So now if you're opening up guild keys, you're going to find all of these new Guardians in them. We've got Cunning, Defiance, Ferocity, Finesse, Persistence, and Treachery. So all of these are very specific to targeting a specific color. You can see that all of them are doing double skull damage versus a specific color. All of their spells are doing double damage if it's hitting that same specific color. Every single one of them is reducing damage from skulls by 50%. And then if you happen to run a team of all of that type of troop, they're going to be getting +6 to all skills. So all of these troops are singular in color, so they'll just be one color when you use them, and that's the color that they're going to be doing all of this extra stuff to. What's interesting about these is that they all seem to lend themselves to doing like a very skull spammy kind of thing. The fact that they're doing double skull damage and the fact that they're taking 50% reduced damage from skulls means that running these people with skull smashy kind of lineups is definitely going to be a pretty viable strategy on Guild Wars defense teams. We'll have to play around with it, but they seem like they could be kind of fun. None of these troops have any kind of loot potential, however, so unfortunately there's not going to be too much excitement with running these folks. However, the spell effects should be pretty decent. I could see these being used a lot in like mid-level to low-level Guild Wars fights. In the high-level Guild Wars fights, I'm admittedly not seeing anything that's looking too crazy in here, but definitely a pretty nice thing. You'll notice that all of the troop types are the types of troops that we don't generally see that much of. There's, Raksha in there, there's Ursaka, or Urska, I should say, Tauros, Strix, Wargear, and Nagas. All of them do thematic stuff, so it's kind of cool. But the way that this is going to work now is that once you get enough copies of these to get them up to Mythic, and you get 4 copies of them, this is going to fall out of the guild pool. So if you're opening up guild chests and you get Cunning, for instance, and you get enough of Cunning to get it up to Mythic, once you have 4 copies of a Mythic Cunning, you will no longer get Cunning anymore in the guild chests. So unfortunately, we're all going to have to open up a bunch of guild chests, or maybe you have a bunch of Orbs of Ascension you feel like blowing on all of these. I personally would not recommend doing that. Save your Orbs of Ascension for Zul if you can. However, you will be getting a lot of these troops until you get them up to Mythic. Fortunately, you don't have to wait until all of them are Mythic. Just once each of them gets to Mythic and you get 4 copies of them, they're out of that troop pool, baby. So, kind of a nerf to guild chests, at least until you get them up to Mythic, but at least we get some troops that seem semi-viable for Guild Wars defense at least. So, a win and a loss. Next up is Guild Wars. When it comes to Guild Wars, you click on the correct menu, and when you look at the schedule, everything looks normal. However, what's actually going to be happening here is that every single day, only the top 27 scores are going to count for your daily score. So now what that means is if someone in your guild has to, take a vacation, or if they're just not able to play or something like that, only the top 27 scores are there. So if everyone in your guild is super active, then just the 3 worst people aren't counted. If people just don't do their fights at all, then they're just not counted. So now when it comes to Guild Wars, your guild can have a little more flexibility. Not everyone has to be your A++, 5-star player. You can have a decent mix in there. So this should make things a lot more competitive, also a little bit more forgivable. This is all pretty darn cool. I'm chalking that up as a win. Beyond all of that, if we look at the rewards that we're going to be getting at the end of this, every single guild that wins their bracket is going to get 50 gems. So that applies to every single bracket that isn't bracket 1. So you folks that are in bracket 1, but everybody else that wins their bracket from bracket 2 on down, that person is going to get 50 old gems. Wow, all for you. So those are the changes to Guild Wars. Super, super duper amazing. Next up, we got ourselves some trophy changes. So trophies are normally rewarded just for doing PvP or arena in the world before 4.7. In the world after 4.7, they're rewarded for basically everything. So now whenever you're doing guild events like a raid boss for instance, every single fight that you're doing in here is going to be worth 2 trophies. Every single explore fight you do, it's going to give you different trophies based on how difficult things are. So if you're looking at your difficulty slider here, it's going to be levels 1 through 4 are going to get you 1 trophy. Levels 5 through 8 are going to get you 2 trophies. And then everything from 9 and above is going to get you 3 trophies for every single win. So that's a cool way to go farm some trophies. When it comes to challenge modes are now going to give you trophies. So when you're doing the challenge mode, doing tiers 1 to 4 are going to get you 1 trophy. Doing tiers 5 through 8 are going to get you 2 trophies. And tiers 9 and 10, every single fight will get you 3 trophies. Super cool. Beyond all of that, every single time you just do like a quest fight, if you do dungeon fights, if you do the adventure board, pretty much every other single fight type is just going to get you a trophy for every single fight that you do. The only fight type that isn't going to get you any kind of trophies is if you just jump into your guild menu and you decide you want to fight one of your friends or something like that, and you say, hey, I want to fight you, bro, you're not going to get any trophies for that. Same thing if you go to the PvP leaderboards and you try and fight some person in here, this is not going to get you any trophies. And if you go to test your own defense team, that's not going to get you any trophies. But everything else, tons of trophies. So for those guilds that have trophy requirements, you can all rejoice now. You do not have to just do PvP or arena until your eyes bleed. You can just play the darn game and every single game mode will get you trophies. That's a win. Hey guild admins, do you think this patch has anything for you? It sure as heck does. If you jump on into the shield thing, there's some new emblems and whatnot in here. So the old emblems, they went up to about here, and every single one of these other emblems is new. Super cool. You can be the llama guild if you so choose now. Praise be the devs. None of the frames have really changed. None of the bases have changed. There's some new patterns in here. So that's a thing. I don't believe these were new as far as I could tell, but apparently there's new patterns in there. As far as backdrops go, there's new backdrops in there. So if you go all the way up to here, you start to see some new backdrops. Wow. All the way up to the class trait view that's in the background here. It's actually kind of cool. But there's some new guild admin stuff as well if you're trying to pimp your guild. That's a plus. Now we get to the section that all of you are so excited to talk through, which is the epic tasks section. So here are all of the epic tasks that have been added into the game, and there's a mix of themes throughout. So the devs have changed and changed and changed this based on all of the complaining and whining and screaming going on in the forums, and ultimately we have landed here. So now the theme of the new epic tasks is that spending money in here is going to net you an equivalent amount of rewards to what we were getting in legendary tasks. So when we look at what's going on here, each of the different colors has a theme. So when it comes to the blue tasks, for instance, we're going to be getting chaos shards, a total of 307 of them if you complete it. Green, we're going to be getting writs, which is going to be 179 if you complete it, which is basically almost 2 deeds since it's 100 writs to make 1 deed. In the red section, we're getting tokens. You're getting 5 guards, 4 Yasmins, 2 Cedrics, and 2 Aranaya if you complete it. In yellow, it's all glory, which is meh. In the purple section, we're getting some pet food for a total of 61 white pet food. And then in the brown section, we get epic ingots for 17 of those. When it comes to all of these different colors of epic tasks, admittedly the ones that I think matter the most to guilds should be the green ones, which are the writs, since those are a resource that we don't have any other way of getting. So I think prioritizing the green epic tasks in here makes a lot of sense. And then it really comes down to what your guild wants after that. There's ways of farming everything else that's in here. The only thing that I would say is also potentially worth it, but this is more likely for endgame guilds only, would be the pet food one. A lot of endgame guilds have a bunch of extra pets and they don't have enough food to feed them because it costs an extraordinary amount. So purple would potentially be the other tasks that would be interesting. But all the other ones, there's ways of farming. So the blue ones you could be getting it out of your delves. In the red ones, you could just be doing explore mode, and that wouldn't take that many explorers to ultimately get that many tokens. Yellow, you could just be doing PvP, and then the browns and the epic ingots. Admittedly, you can't really get those anywhere else. You can get them out of mecha gnomes, but that's about it. But admittedly, there's really no epic weapons that you really care about getting their upgrades for. So I would say the green and the purple would be the two highest priority in that order. But now let's talk through the actual strategies that guilds would want to take. So if you were a guild that was completing a certain number of legendary tasks, what is the best strategy for you guys? The good news about this updated system with epic tasks is that it really doesn't matter how you're putting your money into this system. The amount of keys you're going to be getting, whether you decide to complete epic tasks in their completion, or you decide to spread your money evenly across all of the tasks, there's not really a major difference in the keys that you're going to be getting. If you're spreading your money around, you're more likely going to get an emphasis on gem keys, and if you complete tasks in their entirety, you're going to get a little more emphasis on event keys. But for the most part, the total key potential is the same regardless of which strategy you pick. So a guild can really decide as a larger unit if they would prefer to get a little bit of all of the resources, or if they'd really like to complete a specific resource or 2 or 3 or 4. So from that point of view, this system is really, really great. So if you're a guild admin that's trying to figure out what's the right thing to do with your guild, really it's just going to come down to, do you want to complete tasks for the extra stat benefit, or do you want to just get a little bit of resources across the board? My personal opinion is that when it comes to Guild Wars weeks, you're definitely going to want to complete tasks versus spread your money around to get those stat perks so you can perform better in Guild Wars. But for every other week, just spreading your money around or completing tasks are both completely valid strategies. So super awesome job as far as this updated system is concerned. There's really no wrong way to do it. It just comes down to what your personal preference is as a guild. That covers everything in the 4.7 patch. So overall, I think this patch is pretty much a win across the board. In terms of getting troops, we're getting increases to guild seals. The new epic task system is giving us an equivalent keys to the amount of legendary tasks. The only thing we've really lost out on is the ability to randomly pull a mythic or a legendary by completing legendary tasks. But overall, I'd say that was such a rare instance in the first place. It was 0.5% chance to get a mythic per legendary task, so you'd have to spend 200 million gold to have a pretty good shot at grabbing a mythic, which is kinda nutso. It's not worthless, but it's not something to get all crazy bent out of shape about as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure other people have a different opinion there. But overall, I think this patch is really bringing tons of great stuff. Trophies are all over the place, all of the enhancements to the guild stuff. Guild Wars is improved, everyone gets more guild seals. There's new Guardian troops in there, and we don't have to get all of them up to Mythic in order to stop seeing them. So everything in here looking really, really nice. So 4.7 ended up being, I think, a buff pretty much across the board. So pat yourselves on the back, community. We did it. We did it, guys. But that's everything for 4.7. I'm looking forward to playing this patch. I look forward to seeing you all in game, and I will see you in the next video. Talk to you later, guys. Peace.